Good evening, everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with us. I'm Shivani Gupta. You're watching Brass Tacks. They say a week is a long time in politics, but the last 2 days alone have been enough to bring the Congress back to square one when it comes to its presidential elections, but not without some massive embarrassment. The man the Gandhis had chosen to become the next party chief has gone from being the preferred candidate to a disliked rebel after his MLAs revolted against the impending decision of removing him as the Rajasthan chief minister for Sachin Pilot. This has not only shown that Ashok Gehlot is not willing to be a sacrificial lamb without his own pound of flesh, but also that the entire Congress president elections are a mockery. Given his tactics, Ashok Gehlot will no longer be asked to fight the elections, we are told. What has supposedly was supposed to be a reformation of the Gandhi leadership has turned out to be a humiliation. But was it a wise decision to begin with to ask Gehlot to leave his chair and become party president? Did the Gandhis handle the Rajasthan conundrum badly? We will take those questions to our guests in just a bit, but first up, here's today's report.
Nearly 2 years after Sachin Pilot's rebellion brought Ashok Gehlot's government to the brink. It's a rerun of Congress's Desert Storm. Gehlot's possible shot at being Congress president has turned into the biggest political crisis in Rajasthan, which is going to elections in a year. Despite being publicly warned by Rahul Gandhi to not deviate from the party's one-person, one-role policy, Gehlot has refused to hand over the reins of Rajasthan to rival Pilot. MLAs backing Gehlot threatened mass resignation if Pilot is made chief minister in event of Gehlot becoming Congress president.
जिन लोगों ने बगावत की, सरकार को गिराने की कोशिश की, सरकार कांग्रेस पार्टी को कमजोर करने की कोशिश की, कृपा करके उनमें से किसी को मुख्यमंत्री नहीं बनाया जाए.
Congress observers Ajay Makhan and Mallikarjun Kharge asked the MLAs to meet with them one-on-one, but they were stood up. Instead, the MLAs sent a list of demands, including holding a meeting on a new chief minister only after the next Congress president is elected.
जो भी रेजोल्यूशन होगा उस रेजोल्यूशन का के ऊपर फैसला 19 अक्टूबर के बाद में होगा कि सारे अधिकार कांग्रेस अध्यक्ष को दिए जाएं. वो व्यक्ति कांग्रेस अध्यक्ष का चुनाव लड़ना चाहते हैं और 19 अक्टूबर को अगर चुनाव जीत जाते हैं तो उसके बाद वो खुद फैसला करेंगे. तो ये कॉन्फ्लिक्ट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट नहीं है तो क्या है?
The central leaders returned to Delhi and recommended to the High Command that Gehlot should be kept out of the Congress president race.
जो कुछ घटनाएं घटी है उसके बारे में तफसील से मैडम हमारे कांग्रेस प्रेसिडेंट को बताएंगे, फिर उसके बाद जो फैसला होगा.
At a time when Rahul Gandhi is leading Congress's Bharat Jodo Yatra, walking 3,570 kilometers from Kanyakumari to Kashmir, the deepening divide in Rajasthan is ironic.
एक दिन समस्याएं कांग्रेस हो जाएगी और कांग्रेस समस्या हो जाएगी. इनकी भ्रष्ट राजनीति की नींव में अब दीमक लग गई है. देखिए, कांग्रेस के अंदर लोकतंत्र कभी था ही नहीं. इन्होंने देश और पार्टी डिक्टेटरशिप से ही चलाई है और जब जब ये नाटक करा है लोकतंत्र का, तब इनकी पार्टी टूटने के कगार पर आ गई.
So does it once again boil down to poor management by the Congress High Command? Did they underestimate Gehlot's clout? Was the transition in Rajasthan handled badly?
Before we go across to our guests for our debate, I want to go across to my colleagues. Akash Sharma joining us live from Jaipur, our senior editor Pallavi Ghosh, who's been tracking the internal rumblings of the Congress party. Thank you both for your time. Let me take a quick update from Jaipur. Akash, we are learning, and Pallavi was bringing us that news earlier, that Mr. Gehlot is no longer even going to be asked to contest the elections. Could you tell me what Mr. Gehlot's camp and the MLAs loyal to him are telling you in Jaipur?
Right, so Shivani, you see, this all got started with a buzz that Ashok Gehlot would be, contesting for the presidential elections in the Congress party, and is now going to end with this possibility that we will be, ending up with a situation where Ashok Gehlot would not be fighting, in fact, in this particular election. So, talking about the MLAs, so MLAs are still very clear. They are saying that they are not going to accept Sachin Gehlot as the next chief minister of Jaipur, of Rajasthan, in fact, I'm so sorry, of Rajasthan, and that's the reason why yesterday they came out with this resignation thing, and in fact today, when everyone is anticipating a disciplinary action against them, so they are saying that they are not in fear. In fact, they are all set to respond to those notices, or in fact the questions that may be asked by the Congress leadership. At this point in time, we have two groups basically. One is of course the Gehlot group, where we have a group of MLAs, and these MLAs have certain demands. They are saying that they are not going to accept Sachin Pilot as their next chief minister. Also, they are saying that this process should be halted till 19th of October. And they are saying that someone from these 102 MLAs should be chosen as the next chief minister. On the other hand, we have Sachin Pilot camp, which at this point in time is mum, is not going to say anything because they know that their silence is bringing them support. And that's the reason why we are anticipating that after this detailed report, an action will be taken against at least 3 of the MLAs who were a very part of all drama that happened yesterday.
All right,
And
Akash, let me go
the
across to my
condition,
colleague
as I mentioned
Pallavi
earlier.
also. Pallavi, we are back to square one, it seems. Is this now almost certain that Mr. Gehlot is not going to contest the presidential elections?
See, in fact, a meeting which ended a short while back between the observers and Mrs. Gandhi, this is exactly what was conveyed. What we are picking up from our sources is that Mrs. Gandhi expressed her disappointment, displeasure, anger, and she kept on asking the question, why did Ashok Gehlot have to do it? She also made it very clear that I don't think he would be the right person to become the party president. Technically speaking, you cannot stop anyone from filing the nomination. What is going to become the real thing is the votes of those 9,000 delegates. I know despite the fact that the Gandhis are maintaining it's going to be neutral elections, no hush-hush campaign will go on. But this is all about building up a perception. Surely there will be leaders in the Congress party who will do what the Gandhis want them to do, which is build up this perception, a kind of a silent Chinese whispers messaging that don't support Ashok Gehlot in case he files his nomination paper. Clearly, he's out in that sense from being one of the favorites. He's becoming a person non grata.
Well, it looks like this situation, apart from the fact that the Gandhis are upset with him, Mr. Gehlot wouldn't mind much because he obviously preferred being the chief minister than being the Congress president, isn't it, Pallavi? So I think from his point of view, it's good riddance, even if he doesn't contest. But who next now? Because now we're back to square one and the Congress still needs to have an election, right? They wouldn't want this election to turn out to be a damn squib.
Absolutely. In fact, as of now, there is only clarity on one name, which is that of Mr. Shashi Tharoor, who's going to be filing in on 30th. Will he end up becoming the only one? That would be another problem, really, as far as the Congress's top leadership goes. But yes, on a serious note, many names are doing the rounds. Digvijay Singh, Sushil Kumar Shinde, Mukul Wasnik, Mallikarjun Kharge, and even, of course, Kamal Nath, though he has gone on record to say he's not interested in leaving the state politics and coming to a center as a party president.
All right, I'll leave it at that. Pallavi Ghosh and Akash Sharma, thanks a lot for joining us. Let me take this to our guests who are joining us. Aparajita Sarangi is from the BJP, its national spokesperson. We're also joined by Sandeep Ghosh, journalist and political commentator. George Kurian is a political strategist, leans towards the Congress, and Professor D.K. Giri, political analyst, also with us. Mr. D.K. Giri, let me begin with you. Could there have been a greater embarrassment, humiliation of the Gandhis in present circumstances than what has transpired with Gehlot's tactic?
No, it is certainly not. Party is democratizing, Shivani, and if they are not going to impose a chief minister on Rajasthan, the MLAs, majority of MLAs have expressed their opinion, who they would want, and party should go by that. And, media and BJP were accusing Congress of having been under the family stranglehold. That is going, I think, in fact, we should congratulate Rahul Gandhi for sticking to his gun by saying that nobody from the family should contest. So he is ending the dynasty, and the party is democratizing.
That's still not good leadership.
It's a very good development for Indian democracy. And
Professor Giri, it's still not good leadership to have this play out in full public and your senior management being held to ransom virtually by your MLAs. They needed to sort this out behind closed doors. In fact, their central observers were quote-unquote humiliated.
Well, central observers will be humiliated if they impose their views and they try to manipulate an opinion.
But why couldn't the Congress party handle this with more deftness? Why allow this to become a humiliation in public?
Absolutely. When you democratize, people have their freedom to say what they want. And secondly, leadership emerges to the challenge of times and circumstances. Leadership will emerge. Where was Manmohan Singh when the Congress party won the election? He became the prime minister for 10 years. Don't worry about leadership. There is so many leaders and there are so many candidates who can become the president.
No, that's not the question I'm asking you. I'll come to that in just a bit. The question I'm asking you is that with the fact that, even the writ of the Gandhis, which was made very clear publicly by Rahul Gandhi, as you said, that there should be only one post, for one person, as long as, as long as his view is concerned. It was a public, snub of Mr. Gehlot wanting to keep both positions. Now, after all of that, Mr. Gehlot and his MLAs and his camp have pulled off this stunt in Rajasthan, forcing the High Command to back off. My question is, it doesn't reflect very nicely on how the Congress is being managed.
You see, you said it yourself. Gehlot wants to be the chief minister, not the Congress president. He was being pulled out of Rajasthan.
But then why was he being forced in the first place?
Well, I mean, they want a so-called loyalist, like a media says. So I think it's a good development. He has ruled himself out. They will find They will find another candidate.
No, he hasn't ruled himself out. Yes. I think it is the Gandhis who've now ruled him out. But
well, they had no choice. They had no choice. And
that's exactly the point I'm making, DK Giri. Why would you publicly want to be left with no choice? That's exactly what I'm saying. Sandeep Ghosh is smiling. Sandeep Ghosh, I'm sorry to say, but there is no other way to sugarcoat this. This has been an embarrassment and a humiliation of the Gandhis.
Development. This is how the party should run, not centralized.
Not publicly like this. You sort out you get everyone on the same page behind closed doors and in meetings.
No, in a democracy it does not happen. Why there are elections? Everybody was on the same page.
If it is such a democracy in the Congress party, why was Mr. Gehlot being pushed to fight the elections in the first place? Clearly, he was unwilling.
He might have been pushed, but he has made his mind clear.
Okay, we have a democracy here, but we don't have democracy whether he wants to fight or not. All right. Sandeep Ghosh.
Democracy is cacophonous, you know that. Democracy is not closed door.
All right.
Two people deciding.
Let's not have too much democracy here and be cacophonous on the show. Let Mr. Sandeep Ghosh come in.
Sure, that's fine. Yeah, thank you.
Shivani, there are several contradictions here, or contradictions deliberately imposed. There is pretenses that there is an actual democracy. The rank and file, everybody knows, irrespective of who is the president as it stands today, the Gandhis will keep calling the shots. You see how Rahul Gandhi has been going around even right now pronouncing what the president ought to be or not, and this is a reality everybody is reconciled to. As of now, you can have somebody as a president, as always I've been saying, it's like having a CEO in an organization, but the promoter and owner is somebody else, the CEO runs the show, so there will be something. So that's part of the sham. Now, they obviously wanted Gehlot because of the loyalty factor. He's been seen as the loyal, the loyal family retainer and the rest of it. So that should have, where they miscalculated is the fact that why should Gehlot, what is in it for Gehlot to give up a powerful position in Jaipur? And let's not again beat around the bush. A chief minister's position is not just a title, it's not just a status.
Yes.
There are a lot of things which go along with it. Now, one has to be realistic in any organization. Whether you talk about corporate or wherever, where you stand. Today, if I have a very, very successful running organization, let's say, for example, I don't want to give an example of media, but let's say Reliance. Now, there, if the owner tells somebody, okay, you are handling this big business, but come tomorrow and join the chairman's office, they might do it because they know it's a longer term loyalty, which they're breeding and getting brownie points. In BJP, if somewhere, Narendra Modi asked the Gujarat chief minister to step aside and somebody else, he knows, okay, I don't have a say, but in the long term, I will be looked after. Here, when a party itself is sort of sinking, you don't know what is the future of the party tomorrow. Why would you leave a bird in hand for one in the bush? And here, Gehlot has got more than a bird in hand.
In his hand.
So
actually, that's right. So maybe would it be fair to say, George Kurian, I'm coming to you, that the Gandhis tried to be too clever by half, wanting to kill two birds with one stone, get a loyalist as the Congress president and also solve the Sachin Pilot equation and find a solution to that in Jaipur. But my question to you is, was it not unwise in the first place to push Mr. Gehlot to leave his chief minister's position just 1.5 years before the next elections? Why would anybody want to do that for what was like everybody knows, a lame duck position as the next Congress chief. Was it unfair and unwise to push Mr. Gehlot in the first place?
Well, Shivani, it is for the Congress High Command to decide who plays a better role in what capacity. And so in this situation, the party High Command decided that Ashok Gehlot can play probably a good role at a national level as Congress president. And no leader, as a Congress leader, when you're being rewarded all these decades, you cannot decide for yourself that you will stay with the state politics and you don't want to come into national politics. So it is the party command which decides which leader can place where.
That may be fair enough, George, but you need to then know which leader stands where. You cannot hoist a chief minister on majority of your MLAs who are not willing to take one in Sachin pilot. The Gandhis and their advisors should have known where the ground reality is, that Mr. Gehlot is not going to allow pilot to come in his place.
Well, the fact remains that Mr. Ashok Gehlot is a senior leader. On his part, as you say that the MLAs, 80 plus MLAs were his loyalists. So it was the duty of the loyalists at the same time to ensure they don't put Mr. Gehlot into an embarrassing situation. And as far as Mr. Gehlot is concerned, he should have taken the MLAs into confidence. So such a public dramatic things wouldn't have happened, and it gives a room for the political parties, opponents, BJP in specific, to shoot their guns at it.
No, absolutely. I'll go across to our BJP representative in just a bit. But I'm also joined by Ram Narayan Meena. He's one of the Congress MLAs in Rajasthan. मीना जी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद हमसे बात करने के लिए. अभी हमें खबर ये आ रही है कि अब जो गांधीज हैं वो नहीं चाहेंगे कि अशोक गहलोत प्रेसिडेंट का इलेक्शन लड़े. क्या आपको लगता है कि ये सही होगा? उनको नहीं लड़ना चाहिए या उनको अभी भी लड़ना चाहिए?
देखिए, अशोक गहलोत हिंदुस्तान में कांग्रेस के वरिष्ठ नेताओं में से एक है, इसमें कोई दो राय नहीं. कल का जो घटनाक्रम हुआ वो लड़ेंगे तो उससे कैसा मैसेज जाएगा, नहीं लड़ेंगे तो कैसा मैसेज जाएगा, ये सारी बातें डिसाइड करके और रात तक इसमें करीब निर्णय हो जाएगा. यदि ये निश्चित हुआ कि अशोक गहलोत फॉर्म नहीं भरेंगे तो कतई नहीं भरेंगे, कोई जिद नहीं करेंगे, और जिसको फॉर्म भरना है वो सीनियर लीडर्स निर्णय कर लेंगे और शांतिपूर्ण तरीके से निर्णय करेंगे, क्योंकि उसमें पार्टी में नहीं दिखना चाहिए तो किसी के स्पॉन्सर्ड कैंडिडेट है. कोई भी जो कैंडिडेट होगा वो सर्वमान्य कैंडिडेट होगा. यदि फिर भी कोई दूसरा चुनाव लड़ता है तो जो सर्वमान्य कैंडिडेट होगा वो चुनाव जीतेगा, कांग्रेस की कमान संभालेगा. और हमारे सीनियर लीडर्स जो पूर्व राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष हैं, योगी, सोनिया जी वगैरह, वो सब उनका शुरू करेंगे. कोई कांग्रेस में कोई विशेष बात नहीं है, लेकिन ये जरूर मंथन हो रहा है कि अशोक जी चुनाव लड़े नहीं लड़े. ये निर्णय उस तरह से होगा, शांतिपूर्ण तरीके से होगा और सीक्रेटली होगा. ये सुबह आम जनता को पता चल जाएगा.
बट मीना जी, क्या आप नहीं मानते जो कल ये पूरा घटनाक्रम जो आप कह रहे हैं जो हुआ है, उससे तो कांग्रेस की बहुत मिट्टी पलट हुई है ना? कांग्रेस के जो इलेक्शन हो रहे हैं और कांग्रेस की जो लीडरशिप है, जो गांधीज हैं, हाई कमांड है, और जो राजस्थान में जो कांग्रेस का पूरा कैंप चल रहा है, एक सचिन पायलट का और गहलोत का, ये तो मतलब कांग्रेस की बहुत बदनामी हो रही है ना, ये सारा जो काम हो रहा है पब्लिक में.
ये दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है, लेकिन सचिन और अशोक गहलोत ये कांग्रेस नहीं है. कांग्रेस है. आज भले से सिंगल मैन कंट्रोल है बीजेपी में आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी का, भले ही वो नागपुर से सीक्रेटली गवर्नर होते हो, लेकिन बीजेपी हर पार्टी अपने तरीके से होती है. तो ऐसी स्थिति में कांग्रेस है. ये जो जिस तरह से व्यक्तिवादी स्थिति ला करके कांग्रेस के बारे में विचार किया जा रहा है, ये सही है कि पिछले दिनों 1.5 साल पहले जो घटनाक्रम हुआ था मानेसर वाला, उसके आधार में कुछ लोगों में नाराजगी हो सकती है. उसकी पहले बात करना चाहिए. हम लोग सत्र से घर आ गए, घर आने के बाद मैसेज आता है, कौन जाएगा? कोई तो 700 किलोमीटर दूर रहता है, कोई 300. किसी को मौका ही नहीं मिला सोचने का. इतनी जल्दबाजी में ये मीटिंग बुलाई गई जिसके बारे में कोई सोच नहीं सकता. इसे हो सकता है मंथन नहीं हुआ हो, इसे कोई त्रुटिपूर्ण निर्णय हो गया हो, लेकिन आप निश्चित माने कांग्रेस एकजुट है और सारा सॉर्ट आउट राजनीति सुनेगी कर रहेगी, जैसा कि उन्होंने रिपोर्ट
एकजुट तो नहीं कह सकते मीना जी कि कांग्रेस राजस्थान में एकजुट है। ये तो सबको पता है कि बहुत बड़ा डिवाइड है। चाहे अभी क्लियर है कि अशोक गहलोत के साथ ज्यादा एमएलए है। मैं आपसे एक सीधा सवाल पूछती हूँ, क्या सचिन पायलट को अगला मुख्यमंत्री राजस्थान में कांग्रेस को बनाना चाहिए या नहीं बनाना चाहिए?
मैं इसके बारे में नहीं कहूंगा, एमएलए से बैठ के बात करके निर्णय लिया जाएगा। मैं खुद की बात नहीं करता हूँ। जो स्थिति है वो एमएलए की राय से होना चाहिए। आम जनता क्या चाहती है, उसकी कंसेंसस क्या है, इसके आधार पर निर्णय होना चाहिए।
तो एमएलए तो नहीं चाहते, एमएलए तो क्लियर कर दिया, वो तो नहीं चाहते कि सचिन पायलट मुख्यमंत्री बने। तो क्या फिर आला कमान ने गलत डिसीजन लिया था? क्योंकि वो तो चाह रहे थे कि अशोक गहलोत बन जाए प्रेसिडेंट और सचिन पायलट बन जाए मुख्यमंत्री।
नहीं, प्रेसिडेंट स्टेट का नहीं बन रहे हैं, प्रेसिडेंट ऑल इंडिया का बन रहे हैं।
हाँ, प्रेसिडेंट ऑल इंडिया के।
जो भ्रम पैदा हुआ है कि सचिन जी को कह दिया गया है, ये कहीं न कहीं से त्रुटिपूर्ण हुआ है। पहले से हाई कमान ने ऐसा कोई निर्णय नहीं लिया, केवल एक लाइन में निर्णय करना था। लेकिन ये भ्रम जो पैदा हुआ है, इससे लोग उग्र हो गए और उग्र होकर के जो मंत्री लोग थे, और ये मंत्री की जिम्मेदारी थी कि वो दल किसी विशेष पोस्ट पे बैठे हुए हैं, उनको थोड़ा सोच समझ के निर्णय करना था। जल्दबाजी में निर्णय करके इसलिए भ्रम की स्थिति पैदा होगी। ऐसा कोई निर्णय नहीं हुआ होगा, और हुआ है तो बिना एमएलए की राय के नहीं होना चाहिए। प्रजातांत्रिक तरीका, कांग्रेस कहते हैं हम प्रजातंत्र में विश्वास करते हैं, डेमोक्रेसी में हमारी पार्टी चलती है, लेकिन डेमोक्रेसी पार्टी चलती है, बिना राय के ऐसा निर्णय नहीं हो सकता।
चलिए, ये बहुत बड़ी बात करी आपने कि बिना राय के डिसीजन नहीं लेना चाहिए था। यही बात कुछ लोग और भी कह रहे हैं हमारे शो पे कि एमएलएज wish should be paramount as far as who the chief minister should be, and that is how this process really works. So there are obviously no two questions about that. But why did the party not first get a sense of what is happening on ground before publicly nudging Ashok Gehlot to leave his chief minister's position? Aparajita Sarangi, as George Kurian was saying, this public harakiri has clearly given ammunition to you and your party to attack the Congress presidential election process in itself, because let's not deny the fact it is looking like a farce at this stage.
So it's not a question of Bharatiya Janata Party. It's a question of the entire country. The nation is watching them, and I can only say that Congress is providing free entertainment to the people of this country. Now, there are three issues which are very clear, which come to light, and we must acknowledge and accept. Number one, there is lack of discipline in the Congress party, which is very much evident. Observers going, observers not being listened to, and then conditionalities are imposed. Very unfortunate. They must realize, all the MLAs must realize that the observers have the authority of the high command, but they have not been listened to, I underscore. And number two, there is absence of an inspiring and convincing leadership in the Congress. This is as clear as the writing on the wall. See, had there been a very strong president, very strong high command, no MLA would have dared to actually go against the wishes conveyed to him or her by the observer. And number three, very important, which makes us sad, people like us sad, there is no concern for the people of Rajasthan. The people of Rajasthan have actually put this particular government in power. And what are they giving to the people of Rajasthan? Are they accountable? I think this entire thing emerges from the love of Ashok Gehlot for the golden chair of the Chief Minister of Rajasthan. He knows very well that if he leaves this chair and he goes into the open and tries to be at the helm of affairs in the Congress, he knows very well that he would be left in the lurch, and he would have to listen to the dictates of Sonia Gandhi.
Well, from his position, and I've been saying this from day one, I don't see anything wrong in Mr. Gehlot wanting to be the chief minister rather than be the Congress party president. First, it is mid-term. He's in the middle of his term. At least allow him to finish his term before you expect him to move. I think it is not wrong on his part to resist that, frankly. Anybody in his position would do so. And if this was supposed to be some nice solution to the tussle in Rajasthan, it has clearly backfired. But George Kurian, respond to what Aparajita Sarangi is saying. It is clear that the leadership is not being listened to. The MLAs have cocked a snook in the face of the Gandhis. And that's the biggest conundrum facing the Congress right now. Have the Gandhis lost control of the party?
Well, not really. I don't agree to Sarangiji, having said that, the point is the Congress High Command and the leadership, the CWC, they're capable enough to handle such situations. It is just a matter of time, and probably tomorrow morning and come October 19th, the nation is going to see a transformational Congress party with a new Congress president, full-time president, and things are going to take time. The transition doesn't happen overnight. It's a process which will take its due course. It's been for decades the way Congress party functions. So I'm confident the Congress party is going to deliver and live up to the expectations of the people.
Sandeep Ghosh, what do you think? Is it now clear that even somebody as loyal as Ashok Gehlot is not willing to listen to, quote, the whims of the Gandhi Parivar anymore when it comes to his whole political future?
As you said, Shivani, there is definitely a sign,
sorry, Sandeep Ghosh, I'm sorry, there's a problem with your line. I'll ask my PCR to correct that because there is an interruption in your line. DK Giri, why don't you take that question? Have the Gandhis lost control?
Well, they want to lose control.
They want to.
Yes, they should lose control. And I do not agree with George Kurian's sympathetic but, patronizing language that high command. In a political party, there should not be any high command. And Aparijata Sarangi, she comes from bureaucratic background where the authority is hierarchical. She will take time to understand how political parties work. I'm sorry. Where she worked for all her life, where the order is hierarchical. In a political party, there is no command. They have to express their opinion. They don't have to listen to somebody.
But it is an organization, DK Giri. How do you function in a large organization, that to a pan-India organization, if there is no hierarchy and nobody listens to any
any hierarchy? Is democracy.
That's chaos.
Democracy is one-to-one. There is no hierarchy, Sivani. You know it.
No, I'm sorry. In an organization, there is a hierarchy. Everything is an organizational hierarchy.
They're authoritarian organization like BJP and CPM. In a democratic party, there is no hierarchy. Everybody is one. Even the Prime Minister is first among equals. That is what our constitution says.
I'm not talking about the cabinet here. I'm talking about the organization of a party.
About cabinet, which is the executive head. Even the Prime Minister is not supremo. He is first among equals. That is what our constitution says.
Yeah, I know. He's first among equals of the cabinet. I don't know what you're saying, DK Giri. But anyway, Sandeep Ghosh is back. Yes, Sandeep Ghosh.
Yes.
Okay, I don't think Sandeep Ghosh can hear me. Yes, Miss Sarangi, you wanted to come in.
I mean, it's hilarious to hear the political analyst batting on behalf of the Congress. I can only end with the two lines.
I'm not batting on anybody's behalf. Please don't do that. I'm an independent analyst.
शांत हो जाए गिरी साहब.
नहीं, madam, मैं शांत हूँ. आपण भूल कहउचंती. You are not saying I'm not batting for anybody. I'm speaking my mind. That is the problem.
Okay, let us speak now. Let us finish now, please.
Allow me to speak. कांग्रेस के पैरों के नीचे जमीन नहीं है. यह गजब है कि इन्हें यकीन नहीं है. What do we say to that? This explains why Congress is confined to 2 states. And in the other 2 states, they are a second-class partner.
BJP had 2 MPs
now,
in
this
1984.
explains the whole
What kind of
situation
analysis is this?
in the Congress.
BJP had 2
there
MPs
has
in
to
1984.
be discipline within the Congress, and I can only say, may God save Rajasthan and its people.
Okay, yes. Sandeep Ghosh, I want to come to you. Sorry for the troubles earlier. The big $1 million question, 2 questions now. One, have the Gandhis clearly lost control with their political capital declining over the last few years? And secondly, what do you see in future for Mr. Ashok Gehlot? Because he's clearly upset the Gandhis.
See, there are 2 things, I think, Shivani. First thing about weakening of control. You're very right. There is definitely an amount of weakening of control. One question we haven't asked, why did they have to go in for this decision before the president election? I think they were to some extent pressurized by Sachin Pilot, saying that, you need to settle this issue even before Ashok Gehlot moves, because once he becomes president, he may put his foot down and not leave his chair or put somebody else there. So please settle it down. So when Sachin Pilot went to Kerala to walk with Rahul Gandhi, this is something he may have put pressure on them. And that's why they wanted to settle this now. Otherwise, after Gehlot's meeting with Sonia Gandhi, wherein he said these things will be discussed later, there was no reason for them to precipitate it just now. Secondly, the question is whether, Gehlot, what's the future? If Gandhis feel that he can be sidelined and made, persona non grata or pushed into oblivion, I don't think that will happen, because Gehlot has a standing in Rajasthan, as even if I may say, opposed to say an Amrinder Singh, who was on a decline in his twilight years. Gehlot has got, so even if say 82 people don't stand behind him, he might get 50 people standing behind him, and tomorrow for him to break away and do a Ghulam Nabi Azad on Congress may not be difficult. So another interesting point to watch would be, Shivani, whether now some other real contenders get into the field, filing their nominations before 30th.
Yeah, we'll leave that debate for another day because we've still got some time to debate that issue. We earlier brought some names that are doing the rounds, but let's just, whether the Gandhis or the Congress leadership has managed to evade a crisis in Rajasthan till the next elections or not, frankly, that question in itself is up in the air. With whatever they decide on Ashok Gehlot fighting the presidential elections or not, it looks like it's not going to be a no for him. I do thank our guests for joining us. Now to the other big story we are tracking. The unprecedented crackdown that happened on the PFI on Thursday is witnessing a backlash that's bloody and violent. In Tamil Nadu alone, 5 attacks have happened in the last 5 days, with petrol bombs being thrown and vehicles being vandalized. At the receiving end are RSS and BJP workers and leaders. This seems to be the radical outfit's response to raids against them by the country's premier investigation agency. Can this violence be justified? And if not, why don't we see the kind of condemnation that would come if such attacks were mounted against anyone else in a pattern? We will take that to our guests in just a bit, but first up, the story.
Coimbatore. Petrol bombs hurled at the BJP office for over 2 days. Chennai. Attack on RSS leader's home. Madurai. Petrol bomb hurled at RSS leader's home. Tuticorin. Bus belonging to BJP functionary attacked. "5 days, 5 attacks, and all of it in response to the nationwide crackdown on the Popular Front of India." The attack started on the day of the multi-agency raids. On Thursday night, a petrol-filled bottle was hurled near the BJP office in Coimbatore, triggering tensions in the locality. In a similar incident the next day in Coimbatore, petrol bombs were thrown at the residence of an RSS functionary. Then on September 24th, a petrol bomb was hurled at an RSS functionary's residence in Tambaram near Chennai. Just a day later, 3 petrol bombs were thrown at the home of an RSS functionary in Madurai. The incident, which was captured on CCTV, shows a man with 3 bottles in his hand running towards the main gate of the house and throwing 3 petrol bombs one after the other. And then just yesterday, a petrol bomb was hurled at an omnibus belonging to a BJP functionary in Tuticorin. Cops have arrested 18 people so far for these attacks, and most of the accused are from the SDPI and PFI. Meanwhile, a shocking video has emerged from Kerala, where a SDPI official can be seen openly threatening RSS workers that they will be handled in broad daylight in 10 seconds. With most of its top leadership behind bars, the PFI is upping the ante, planning lone wolf attacks particularly on BJP and RSS leaders and officials of government agencies. It's now becoming increasingly clear that the PFI is one of the biggest threats to national security. Is it time to ban the organization once and for all?
Let's go across to the guest joining us. Sangeet Kumar Ragi is an RSS thinker and professor. Binay Kumar Singh is author, Bleeding India, 4 Aggressors, 1,000 Cuts. Binay, you've worked extensively on the threat of the PFI. You know, what is very shocking is the PFI's response against raids against them, which accuse them of terror and terror training and waging war against the state, is planning bomb attacks. So it's almost as if they're trying to prove the NIA correct by their response.
Shivani, I have been tracking, PFI for the last 10 years, and I am confident enough to say that I know PFI more than PFI. So, the violence methods they are using, it's not because it proves that they are not any humanitarian aid organization or they are not any NGO. PFI is SIMI. When we say that PFI is connected to somewhere, we are committing a mistake. PFI is SIMI. PFI is a terror outfit with a next generation modus operandi. They have a next generation modus operandi, so they are able to camouflage. They are able to disguise in the form of humanitarian aid organizations or relief organization. So it is just to fool others. And I was just going through the ED remand application of the NIA of the ED. So it is ample evidence there that the ED and the NIA, they have done a proper homework. They have done a massive homework before these massive raids were conducted. And I'm sure, Shivani, there are truckload of evidences and there are truckload of footprints to prosecute the NIA.
Well, what we've got to know is that the NIA did indeed plan this massive national crackdown over a period of months. But you're right, Sangeet Ragi, if an organization which is not criminal and violent and, radical in its intent and its action wanted to defend itself against the raids of a national investigation agency, you would think the last method they would employ is actually bomb attacks and issuing public threats on the streets that we will deal with you, because you're proving that your very mentality and your genesis is violence. Then you're actually proving the agency correct.
Shivani, all this is happening because the state governments unfortunately are not very tough on the activities of the PFI. Had they been tough on the activities of the PFI, they would not have dared to, throwing bombs on the RSS, cadres' houses, homes, or any other offices. I am very surprised to see the stoic silence on part of the left liberal intelligentsia in this country. They are not coming out to condemn this kind of violent activities. I don't know what prevents them. It is the NIA, it is the central agency which has conducted raids. It is based on substantial facts. The substantial facts involved, seizing of the arms and ammunition, inflammatory audios, and most importantly, the fund from the dubious sources. And that includes funds from the Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and some other, Central Asia countries. The important is find that they have a pan-Islamic linkages. They are the radical outfits which believe and they have a commitment or they have a mission to convert India into an Islamic state.
Islamic state, yes. Apparently they have a vision 2047. I'll come to that in just a bit. But Sangeet Ragi, you said that you're surprised by the silence. That is one of the questions that I asked leading up to this debate. If such attacks, for example, 5 to 6 in Tamil Nadu, 2 to 3 in Kerala, were planned consistently as a pattern by an organization or its workers or its sympathizers against one set of people, in this case it's RSS leaders or workers, but if such attacks were planned against one set of people representing an idea, ideology or an organization, you would know what the responses would have been, right? For example, straight church attacks in India have been converted into Christians being under threat. Why is it that when it's the RSS workers at the receiving end, and we've seen multiple political killings as well in the states like Kerala, there is no outrage? Is it because a certain section has almost deemed it okay if RSS blood is shed?
Because they are Hindu.
So you think it's because RSS is Hindu and bats for Hindu ideas or rights, that's why it's okay to kill them? They're fair game?
No, I think that it is all because they are Hindus and they represent or they articulate the nationalism of India, and these are the forces which do not believe in the idea of India which RSS believes in. And they believe in pan-Islamism. Islam doesn't believe as an ideology. Islam doesn't believe in a territorial nation. And precisely this is the reason, though they have nationalities, though they have different nations, and they are fighting among each other, yet the ideology of Islam has a pan-Islamism, Islamic character. And sometimes I feel that the Savarkar and Ambedkar were very much right when they said that their loyalty is divided. Their loyalty is somewhere else to the ideology of
Islam. But why is it? I can
and
understand an organization like the PFI doing it and some radical outfits supporting it or not coming out and condemning it. But why is the larger liberal world not outraged, you think, in India today?
Because that will destroy, because that destroys their, secular communal binary.
Okay.
In fact, if there is a polarization of Muslim votes, then there is a polarization of secular votes. When somebody talks about the polarization of Hindu votes, then it is a communal, that carries a communal intent, a communal content.
Sangeeta, so just hold on your thought. Shahid Ali is advocate and leader of United Muslims Front also joining us. Shahid Ali, a question does come to mind when such blatant threats are given by radical Islamist outfits like the PFI and their supporters in India, when petrol bombs and other crude bombs are being hurled targeting the RSS workers or leaders or anybody else for that matter. Where are the liberal Muslim voices who come out and say that, don't do this in my name? Because ultimately the PFI claims to be fighting for Muslims and Islam. Where are the liberal Muslim voices? And why don't they condemn this targeted attack?
I think this question should be asked to PFI workers and PFI spokesperson.
No, I'm asking you because I believe you stand for liberal secular values.
In my considered opinion, whosoever violates law, whosoever indulge in fighting and all, violation of law in any manner is a criminal offense, and that should be condemned. Whether by RSS worker or by PFI, well, it should not be. There should not be any choice to all individuals, to all whosoever loves India.
But what we see is, Shahid, what you're saying is right. But what we see is that if in case there's an attack on a minority community in India, even one attack is made to feel like the entire minority is under threat. Here, one after another, there are, radical Islamists firing bombs on RSS leaders who are clearly from the majority community. But PFI is not radical Islamist.
I have objection to say. I have objection.
One second, let me finish my question first. My question to you is, one second please.
You are saying radical Islamic.
Yes, I'll allow you to come in on that, but let me finish my question first. My question is, why is it that people who make such a huge hue and cry over one attack over any minority in India are not opening their mouths today? Is it okay to kill RSS workers? Are they not Indians? Do they not have a right to live? Or can they be bombed and attacked? Where are those voices who stand up against violence? But today they're all very conveniently quiet because on target is RSS.
As far as this question is concerned, in fact, what I objected to what you are saying, Islamist, jihadis and all, what you said that Islamist, terrorist and all, what you said, I'm not recollecting that word. I had objection to that. As far as your second condition is concerned, the question which you reframed thereafter, as far as that is concerned, I am absolutely with you that voices should be raised. We should not hesitate in condemning. If an RSS worker is killed illegally, or if a PFI worker is killed illegally, or anybody else is killed illegally, irrespective of the fact that the person belongs to minority or majority, they should not come in the between. Should not come in between. Allah says in Quran, अगर एक भी इंसान को गलत तरीके से मारा गया है, तो that is the murder of entire humankind.
Yes. And yet we see that in the name of Islam itself. Let me come to the question that I raised. You objected to radical Islam. I was talking about PFI as a radical Islamist organization. They claim to fight for Islam. They claim to fight for Muslims in the name of
objection
Islam.
is still
Don't you feel they
radical
are indeed
Islam.
radical
What is the
Islamists?
radical
Why do you
Islam?
object to that term?
What is the radical Islam? What is radical Islam? I object
Throwing
to
bombs,
this.
I guess. What else?
So you may say that the PFI is involved in illegal things. You have all right to say that like that, but you cannot say radical Islam is. What is this?
Okay, so
Islam
you are saying...
is only one. Islam is only one, and Islam teaches humanity.
Okay, all right.
Islam never teaches the killing
Fair
of
enough.
humankind.
Islamist terror, radical Islam, he's saying, Shahid Ali is saying, don't use such terms. Sangeet Ragi wants to come in, then I'll give a final word to Binay as well. Yes, Sangeet Ragi.
Shivani, radical Islam, Islamic terrorism, these are the terms which are widely used in the literary world, also in the social science book, and that to research, in a research article, we often use these terms, number one. Number two, all what is happening in Syria, what is happening in other countries where they are all doing it in name of the Puritan Islam that we form. When ISIS is involved in the murder or the killing, Boko Haram, Hizbul Mujahideen, Jaish-e-Muhammad, Taliban, what are they doing? They are saying that my interpretation of Islam is the correct interpretation. Shahid Ali might have a very different interpretation of Islam, but that Islam doesn't conquer with the Deoband Islam, which is producing terrorists along the Durand line, both on the side of Afghanistan and on the side of Pakistan. The point is that in India, where you are living with majority Hindu, you can give a good interpretation of the positive Islam. But the actual test of Islam will be on the in terms of interpretation on land where it is in a dominant majority. Go and have the interpretation of Islam the way you want. Go to Pakistan and what Maududi explains. Go to even Allama Iqbal. Aurangzeb for Allama Iqbal was a great follower of Islam. And what Aurangzeb has done to this country, massacre of thousands and thousands of innocent Hindus, just declaring them as kafirs, destruction of temples. So please don't say that.
Yeah, I mean, I get your point about
in the correct
just the fact that there is an ideology which is basically wanting a world according to their vision and according to their scriptures. But in that world, does anyone else have a place or not is a big question. I don't want to go back to Aurangzeb, frankly, but the larger question for the liberal, world is whether this is secular then. That's the question that arises. Binay Kumar, I want to give you the final word.
Shivani.
Sir, I've run out of time. Sir, I've run out of time. Let Binay Kumar come in.
Shivani, liberalism and secularism. These two words are the biggest ideological scam in the history of this country. There is nothing called liberalism and secularism. Nobody who claims to practice secularism, they are not practicing secularism. In this case also, in the case of PFI, you can see a certain set of questions in the last 3 days from all the liberal and secular brigade. The questions are, why the government has taken late action? Why are you debating when the matter is to be decided by the court? Government is targeting Muslims. The next, we are against PFI. But what about RSS? Just now, Shahid Ali Sahab, he mentioned the same line. And the next final, who are you to blame? Who are you to decide? So these are the certain set of questions, Shivani, used to divert or used to softly, safeguard or give a cover fire to the PFI outfit. And Shivani, my last word. Okay. There are two ideas of India when India completes its 100 years in 2047. One idea of India is of the India lovers. We want India to remove the badge of a developing nation and we want to move into the next league.
Okay.
The other idea of India is the India haters like PFI. They want to bleed India, they want to break India, they want to disintegrate India, they want to dismember India. And
right. I've run out of time. I get your point. I do thank all of our guests for joining us. This is the larger battle. That's what our guests are saying. It is not just about PFI alone. It is the battle for the safety and security of India and then by virtue all Indians. As I take a short break, don't forget to vote for your favorite artist, the one you feel deserves to be Indian of the Year Entertainment. You can go to indianoftheyear.com and cast your vote.